Two brothers. $78 between them, sleeping in the back of an old van that smells like sweat and peanut butter. They've been at this for 5 years. 5 years of failing. What they don't know yet, what they can't know, sitting in that parking lot, is that one drawing, scribbled in crayon, is about to turn those $3 and that hopeless feeling into a $100 million company. This is a story of how Optimism became a business plan. Bert and John Jacobs grew up outside Boston, the youngest of 6 kids in a house that wasn't easy. Money was tight. Things at home were tense. But their mother had a rule every night at the dinner table. Instead of asking what went wrong that day, she'd ask each kid to tell her something good that happened. One good thing. Every day. No matter what. It sounds small. It wasn't. Because while everything around them said life is hard, their mom kept quietly teaching the opposite. That you can train yourself to look at good, even when it's hiding. The brothers didn't realize it then. But she just handed them the only idea they'd ever really need.
Boy.
After college, Bert and John didn't want regular jobs. They wanted to make stuff. So they started printing T-shirts, their own designs, and selling them the only way they could afford to, out of a van, for 5 years. That van was a whole company. Office, warehouse, bedroom, all of it. They'd load up boxes of shirts and drive up and down the East Coast. College dorms, street corners, craft fairs. They slept in the van. They lived on peanut butter and jelly. They showered when they could find a friend with a couch. And the adventure? The adventure was incredible. The sales? The sales were terrible. They'd knock on dorm room doors, hoping to sell a shirt for a few bucks. Some days they made rent. Most days they didn't. They watched friends get real careers, real apartments, real paychecks. And they kept climbing back into that van, chasing something they couldn't even name yet. By 1994, the doubt was getting loud. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe it was time to grow up and quit. They came off one last road trip with almost nothing to show for it. Back in Boston, they counted what they had left, $78, between 2 grown men after 5 years of work. That's the moment. That's the bottom. The point where most people fold the business, fold the dream, and go get a normal life. Bert and John were this close to doing exactly that. But on that long drive home, the brothers got to talking about the news. Every channel, every headline, the same thing. What's broken? Who to fear? Why the world is falling apart. A constant drumbeat of negativity. And John said something like, nobody's telling the other side. Nobody's making art about what's still good. That was it. That was the whole idea. What if they made a character, a hero, whose entire job was to remind people that despite everything, life is still good? Back at their apartment, they threw a little party, pinned their newest drawings to the wall, and asked their friends which ones hit. One drawing stopped everybody. A scruffy little stick figure with a beret and a grin. So big it took up half his face. Easygoing, unbothered, happy for no reason at all. They named him Jake, and under that grinning face, they wrote 3 words. Life is good. Now, they had 3 words, a stick figure, and $78. So they made a bet with all of it. They spent that last $78 printing 48 shirts. Just 48. Jake on the front. Life is good underneath. They took them to a street fair in Cambridge, set up a table, and waited to see if a total stranger would feel what they felt. The first person did. Then another. Then a crowd. 48 shirts. Gone in 45 minutes. Beat. 5 years of knocking on doors. 5 years of PB&J and sleeping in a van. And now people were practically pulling the shirts out of their hands. They weren't buying cotton. They were buying a feeling. The permission to believe that life, their life, could be good. The brothers looked at each other. They finally knew what they were selling. After that fair, it caught fire. Local shops wanted Jake on their shelves. Then shops in the next town. Then the next state. Within 3 years, the brothers who'd had $78 were running $1 million business. And it kept climbing. Past the van, past the doubt, past anything they let themselves imagine, all the way to $100 million in sales. But here's the part that matters most. They never dropped the message. To this day, Life is Good gives 10% of its profits to help kids facing the hardest things imaginable, reaching over 1 million children every single year. The optimism wasn't just marketing. It was the whole point. It's easy to hear Life is Good and think it's naive, soft, wishful thinking. But Bert and John didn't succeed in spite of their optimism. They succeeded because of it. When they had nothing, no money, no proof, no reason to keep going, optimism was the one asset they refused to spend. That's the lesson their mom gave them at the dinner table, and it's the one I'll leave you with. You can't always control what happens, but you can train yourself to find the good, and sometimes that's the thing that builds everything else. So before you go, what's your one good thing today? Drop it in the comments. And if this story moved you, hit subscribe. We tell one every week.